this room, our beautiful community, our beautiful family of Spiritual Life Center. We are so happy and grateful for this family. We are also happy and grateful for our birth family who allowed us to be on the planet right now at this special time for humanity. What a blessing and what a gift. And we are also happy and grateful for all the children of Mother Earth who are on the planet right now. The crystals that are singing, the trees that are talking, the animals that are showing us the way, the human family that is evolving, and all the spiritual connections that are opening up within us and coming through us. And this beautiful family right here at Spiritual Life Center, who's being fed and who is giving out every day. All we can say, thank you, God. Thank you, Goddess. Together, thank you, God. Thank you, Goddess. Amen.
I feel God in every moment. single moment there is God. I see God in every moment. Ooh, I see God in every moment. I see God in every moment. Ooh.
Wow. Thank you. I don't think too many town hall meetings start out with that. This is Spiritual Life Center. Well, I'm James, and I'm going to share a little bit with you and then turn it over to our board chair. In our agenda, it says picturing the future. I shared a little bit this morning about the idea that, how we, the words that we speak begin to create our experiences. And I was thinking, every organization is always looking at, always re-examining, why they exist. I shared early in the writing I did, making reference to a book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why, I think it says. And he said that most organizations, don't necessarily buy into what you do. They want to ask you why you do it. And the why is the most important part for us to lay the foundation for what we do. And I think for a spiritual community, from my experience, people come because they want to have some change in their life. They want to have some transformation in their life. They want to be able to come away with something more that when they leave that they didn't have than before they came. And so everything that we do is built upon, that why. Can we have a changed life? Can we have a transformed life so that we can carry out that statement? I think Gandhi said that we have to be the change that we want to see, because it always starts with each individual. As a board and as a collective community, we've been looking at where do we want to focus our attention to help carry out that why. And we looked at the major areas that I'll just briefly go over, and I'll invite you to imagine a possibility in a couple of those areas, because this is an evolving process. You never reach the end. You just kind of point in a direction, and God makes the correction along the way. That's been my experience. And with the help of the board and Diana, she came up with a really good framework for us to begin to work with, because that framework will determine where we'll focus our energy, it'll determine where we put our resources, and how we'll move forward. And as we looked carrying out our why, we looked at these primary areas that are not etched in stone, but give us the direction. Because I find that organizations now, instead of coming with a strategic plan, they say a strategic direction, because life around us changes so rapidly that we have to have the ability to, what I call, dynamically steer, make adjustments along the way. But the areas of focus for us is how can we offer a continuous, vibrant, and expanding children's program, just as an overarching approach, because that is important for a healthy community. How we can also continue to deepen our music program so that it continues to be a transformative presence for those who are part of Spiritual Life Center. How do we offer programs that help transform lives and create opportunities for connections? Because individuals really come to communities also to connect with like-minded individuals to help them along in their journey. As we move into further on in the 21st century, how is it that we can leverage our media outreach by focusing on taking our message and our opportunities out into the bigger community as well as the world? The fifth area is continue to have transformative programs, whether they're Sundays, Wednesdays, special services, and also transformative experiences. And then also how we can get more programs to get people engaged, to support our efforts, obviously with their time, with their talent, with their treasures, and make our community such that individuals take full ownership of the community. So that's where our resources will be heading toward, and I had asked a couple of individuals in their respective departments this question. If you can have the ideal vision of what you would see in your area, what could that look like? And we begin to gather some possibilities of those visions. And like I said, it's not the final word, but it's a way to prime the pump, so to speak, prime the spiritual pump. And I just might like you to imagine with me, let's say in our youth program, because I spoke with Lori and got some ideas back from her, and I used some of my words, so forgive me if I change it around a little bit. But holding this vision that Spiritual Life Center has a vibrant and expanding youth program that is well staffed and is a magnet of attraction for youth and their parents from all over the Sacramento area. It has a large sacred space with vibrant creation station rooms for art that draws out their God-given creativity. Every aspect of the youth ministry is well supplied and utilized by youth throughout the week. Youth from every age group regularly share their music, art, and wisdom with the rest of the congregation. Their programs are streamed and broadcast to those who are unable to attend in order to uplift and positively influence their lives. We help to produce conscious leaders who participate in every aspect of our communities. They represent our future. And so the idea is to begin to hold the possibility, a vision of the future, and to begin to set in place the steps that we would need to get there. I'd asked Becca to share some ideas of what it could look like for our outreach and media areas. And this is just the beginning of prime the pump thoughts about what we can accomplish, knowing that Spirit can provide even more along the way. The Spiritual Life Center takes full advantage and leverages our media outreach and is focused on taking our message and what we have to offer to the emerging generation in our world. This includes the engaged online community. Thousands of people actively discuss spiritual concepts, plan visits to SLC, share prayers and support, and connect with each other via Spiritual Life Center's social media presence and live stream each day. Global connection. Our online campus offers weekly worship services, podcasts, videos, and classes live stream. These are supported by online donations, registration fees, or perhaps an online membership. Our classes and services can be experienced in small groups that meet together online or in person around the world. SLC can happen anywhere. In Sacramento, the Spiritual Life Center community in our purple t-shirts is active in community events. We have tables and booths at multicultural events. We love to meet our neighbors and share what we do. We host and sponsor community-wide events that foster connection. We are the helpers in the community service projects, pitching in to make a better world, demonstrating interfaith harmony, walking our talk. We are visible as people who transform lives with our service and connection to the divine. And I'll just share one more without taking any more time about our, let's see, so much to do. But our Sunday services help raise consciousness. We track new waves of seekers on their spiritual path who continue to return and are integrated into the spiritual community. People are continuously drawn to Spiritual Life Center Sunday, Wednesday, and special services because of the transformative impact it has on their lives and the quality of our guest speakers and presenters that we attract. Whether it's the Reeves brothers, Brian and Katie, Joe Dispenza, Brene Brown, Tara Brock, Eckhart Tolle, Adi Shanti, to name a few. In addition to our uplifting and dynamic music team, we regularly attract high conscious and skilled guest artists that inspire us and deepen our spiritual connection. As part of our spiritual transformational experiences, we join dance and spoken word artists that deepen our connection with the divine. I think we can begin to hold possibilities for the future. And so this just gives a glimpse of what we envision, what's possible for Spiritual Life Center. And of course, we have to collectively embody those ideas, move in the direction of those ideas, and support it with all of our consciousness and prayer and the resources that are necessary to make those things happen. I think if we begin to speak it, move in the direction of it, do our part, Spirit does provide the increase along the way. So you'll hear more of the nitty-gritty of what needs to be done. You know, I think in spirituality, I say we're not only here to be nitty-gritty, not just be airy-fairy, we're here to be airy-gritty. Hold the ideas and ground them into reality. And so we're going to have some more information presented by our board in regard. Thank you.
Thanks, James. So I think everybody has a copy of an agenda and a packet. I believe so. What we want to talk about today is that we want to celebrate some of our accomplishments, look at where we've been, talk about more ideas about where we're going, and then most importantly, talk about where you fit in, how you can help and be a part of all of the things that we have in mind for SLC. So I want to start with our accomplishments, and Celia Coughlin-Surridge is going to talk about that, and she's going to also be bringing up a few folks for some testimonials. And I think one of the biggest accomplishments that we have is the people who come and have that newcomer experience and whose lives are beginning a transformation for having been here. So that's some of the folks she's going to have come up and speak. So Celia?
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a lot of accomplishments. Some of you may have received our bigger agenda, which has multiple pages. And what I'm going to do to save time is just touch on a couple before I introduce you to some other people who can really help us honor and remember our 2017. Without being able to honor and cherish those memories, we can't move forward. And so we really do want to take a moment to also thank everybody who had a part in a successful 2017. So first of all, we had a couple new board members, Sally and you're right behind me. Hi, Sally. Sally and myself. And then Elaine became our operations and finance manager. Reverend Louise moved into her role of Minister of Education. And Reverend Becca expanded her role into our online marketing and communications director. We brought Gary Simmons to SLC to train our staff and entire community on becoming a mission-centric ministry, which is done over the course of several years. We're going to be talking about that more. And we officially began phase 1 of that mission-centric ministry, and that was offering the Q process. How many of you have gone through the Q process? Yeah, fantastic. So post-it note that, because that is phase 1 of our mission-centric ministry that we're going to be talking more about. In continuing our mission to develop our youth, our YOU chapter, the members Aiden and Cameron went to represent SLC at both the regional and international levels, and have helped welcome new teens to our program. So as that continues expanding, it's great to have those two to welcome our new members. Reverend Deborah Phillips, who is amazing, has grown our Wow Wednesday program, and it is just absolutely amazing. Wow Wednesday was attended by more than 2,200 people in 2017. That is awesome. We also have had about 300 new Facebook followers since about June. Our analytics only go back that far, so it's more than that, I promise you. But we've also seen a 25% increase in just the past few months. And we're really starting to get the swing of how to let people know in the community about our events. We're selling things out, like Mary Youngblood, the Ruiz brothers, and it's causing everyone to have this amazing conversation online with such a diverse community of people, young, old, different cultural backgrounds. Everybody's super excited about what's going on. And so the social media efforts by Reverend Becca are just amazing, and I'd like to give her a round of applause for that. Thank you. So I feel like the little free library has been there forever, but it actually was installed last year, and I think that's amazing. It's being used on a regular basis, and we encourage you to stop by. We had an amazingly successful series of fundraising events, and we sold out 2 Mystic Cafes and had our first spring fling and the first You'll Love It. And there's many more of those events that really touched all of us. And let's see, we also, this is just a testament to our community, how people are becoming more involved and wanting to be there for each other and also step out of their comfort zones. We had the largest number of new Faith in Action home host volunteer leaders, and that's amazing. And if you were one of them, I would like to say thank you. And for those who also attended, to really make that an amazing event. And it was teamed by Tina, and so we'd like to thank her as well. So the list is just too long for me to go through all of them. My husband would get mad if I'm here longer than I'm supposed to be. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to open it up to Leslie, who has facility updates, who I'm sure has plenty of things that we can also honor and remember in regards to that.
Thanks, Celia. First, I want to thank the people who participated in their giving their time, talents, energy, and lots of money this year, some of them, to help us beautify our facilities. Mostly this year it was landscaping, as you can see every time you walk up on the east side. And then there was some work done on the west side as well. In May, Gil gave us all a very intensive, sometimes twice, tour of every part of this building, and including the roof. Twice. It's really fun, guys. So that we could really get a feel for what's working with our building and what needs some tender, loving care. So we managed to have 3 work days. Our biggest one was in June when we cleaned this place for the first time in about 3 years, I think. And 18 of us volunteers contributed over 120 hours, just scrubbing and getting rid of fingerprints and sprucing up. But we always have fun. So I really want you to, the next time we have a work day, which will be March 31st, it's the last Friday in March, to come out and play with us, because we really do have a good time even while we're working, and you would not believe what you learn about people while you're working on projects. We created, out of our intensive tour, an extensive, ongoing priority checklist of things that need our tender, loving care. And one of them is some area of the roof, but we already have a volunteer group of 5 guys who have the skill set necessary for fixing this particular project, and we have it's already in the budget. We helped organize the interior offices for better utilization of space for those people that were getting new jobs and new offices. And we completed repairing and repainting the east wall before we did all that planting. I am starting a research procedure checklist for emergency situations, general safety and security. So if anybody has an interest in helping me with that, that would be great. So lots of us play and pray here. So join the fun of keeping this place, our home, sparkling and working well. Thank you. Who's next?
Thank you. As a new board member, it's funny, not only am I the youngest board member, but I think I was also one of the fastest to become a board member. I was a newbie only 2 years ago. And if that's the universe talking, I don't know what else is. So with that in mind, every year we have new people who come to us and just find out that this is their home. And we have a couple of testimonials that we'd like to share with you from those new members. So the first one I'd like to ask up is CJ Walton, one of our prayer chaplains.
Hi, church. So I'm new to SLC, but not so new to Unity. And I had, when I first came into the New Thought, I had a really wonderful church, right? It was the church. Half the people where I worked went to that church. And we were just such a clique and everything. And then I had to move out here. And for that, I floated a little. Always learning, always enjoying where I landed, but floating. And then one day, someone said, Reverend James Trapp is at SLC. And I said, really? I don't know how I became a fan, but I had read something, I had heard him once or twice, and I said, okay, so I'll go there. And because I liked his energy, I liked his intellect, I walked in the door, and I realized that it wasn't a his energy thing. It was an SLC energy thing. And people welcomed me, and they asked my name, they made sure I had coffee, and just little things that really help out when you are in a small courtroom with lots of people you don't know. And so I thought, not only do I want to stay and experience that, but I want to be one of the people who help give that to newbies who walk through the door. So I started volunteering with Diane. Wonderful, stylish Diane trained me in how to do the welcome table, and then I met Cheryl Davies. And I understand that not everybody knows these names, but these names shouldn't really be names. They should be smiles. Oh, hi, lovely. Darlene. Yeah, see, they're not names. They're smiles. And I really do thank you for that. That whole process was wonderful. And it felt like I had something to give. And I think we all have something to give, but this is one place where they will bring that out of you so that you will know what to give. I could tell you that my life outside of these walls went straight up to. It just went up and up and up as I found a place where I could be spiritually rooted. And so I invite you to look around the room when we're hugging everyone, and not just hug your friends, but people that you don't know. And I invite you to seek people out that you have not met before. And if you're like me, you'll be hugging someone who's gone here for 20 years. But, just seek them out and welcome them. Because even those who have been here for a while can use a warm welcome. And those who haven't been here really need a warm welcome because the world is a little bit colder now. And so just that song that we sing, and I hope we sing it a little longer, my spirit is welcomed here. My soul is welcomed here. See, it's not a word. It's an energy, and that energy is something that the world can really use, even if they can't quote it correctly. But they can really use it, and so each of us are important. So I hope that fulfills the testament.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, CJ. I know what it's like to have people just pull your volunteering nature out of you. I told Leslie that I would help with the PowerPoint, and that turned into 500 hours of helping in the media booth. So I understand completely. Our next testimonial is from someone that I love to death because she is just amazing and touches people because she is the director of the prayer chaplains. We'd like to welcome Sherry Rain.
Thank you. I love you too. It's an honor to be up here talking about what SLC means to me. When I came through the door, I was in a relationship that was unraveling, and I wasn't ready for God the first time I came to SLC. So when I came back, I really needed that. I needed that extra support in my life. And this was the place that provided it. I just sat in the back and cried when Christine gave meditation. I just knew that I was in the right place. And shortly after that, I started Faith in Action and was just embraced by a wonderful community, a wonderful group of friends. And also did not realize that I needed that support from this community. But it was just so beautiful to have it presented to me in such a loving, embracing way. And all of these opportunities kept presenting themselves, and I just said yes, and I said yes, and I said yes. And my spirit has just grown, and I feel so sustained by all of you and all that you offer, and the love and support, and just the way that we all show up. And so my one suggestion to each of you is to say yes and see what it is that shows up for you, and be a part of this community in whatever way calls you forward. Thank you.
And we have Sally, who's going to give us our tithing report for 2017 and talk about those highlights.
Okay, I think tithing, our whole tithing concept, I mean, it's one of the reasons I come to SLC, right? Because we tithe back to the community. Some churches, even in the unity movement, tithe, but they tithe like to the national unity or that kind of thing. And so we give our money away. Can you believe that? We give it away. So anyway, we donated about $57,000, I think, this last year. That was in my calculation, but I'm not the money person. I'm also not the person that got us in trouble, because between, I think it was 2003 and 2004, we found out that we were behind. So, but that was bookkeeping people who figured all that out and decided we were not in integrity because we hadn't truly tithed 10% of all of our donations. So we've been paying that back, and we paid the last of it back in October. So, yeah. So it was a debt that we had within our own consciousness of making an additional tithe beyond what the 10% was that was coming into the plate to make up for that, so that now SLC is truly in integrity in our tithe. So I just wanted to throw in, we've tied to over 20 organizations this last year in 2017. We've tithed to over 330 altogether since SLC started almost 20 years ago. And I just wanted to tell you about one, because this one I picked because this lady several years ago started this. This is how a lot of small nonprofits start, because she wanted her children to understand about giving in the community. So it's called Hands for Hope, and they have clubs in high schools and junior high schools in the area, and the kids within each club decide if they're going to do a project. So the kids within Hands for Hope in one school might collect money for a food bank or food for a food bank, and the kids in another school might be doing a completely different project. They may be going and visiting elderly people in a convalescent hospital like every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. So the kids within the organization, each school, they decide what they're going to do. And if they need to earn funds, they decide how they're going to do it and then how they're going to spend the funds. So here, and now they have this website, and so it's kind of like a clearinghouse. If we decided at for the 31st of March that we wanted to have some additional kids come to help us, we could post a thing on their website and it would say that we want 7 more kids, more high school and junior high school kids to help us or whatever. And if a kid is looking for something to do, they could go on the website and they could make arrangements to come help. So just some of the things that were thrown on that are on the website as of today. If I was a teen and I wanted to look for something, they were recruiting teens to cook and honor our troops breakfast that one of the groups has scheduled. Okay, they have a senior center where they're going to go do a crafts and game day. So they're going to send kids to that there. A homeless food collection, sandwiches for the homeless, volunteers at the Children's Museum in Rancho Cordova, where they have a teen who then is representing and is there to receive kids and show them maybe, how to work the puzzle or, where the bathroom is or whatever. So that's what they do. And that's one of the things that we, SLC, helped to give to our community through our community tithe. So it's a wonderful thing. I get such a kick out of it. So I'm representing you when I do that. So you're having a wonderful time giving that money away. Just know that.
Thanks, Sally. Just out of curiosity, are we looking for any more people to serve on the tithing committee, or are we all good right now?
We always could accept, and we always accept suggestions, too.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you heard that, but certainly if you have suggestions of organizations that we might want to tithe to, Carrie Freeman, former board member, is also on the tithing committee. So either Carrie or Sally are open if you have some ideas you want to throw their way. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Well, so we've done a lot in 2017. And now I want to talk about looking ahead. We already have a lot of really exciting things scheduled for 2018 and trying to stay in alignment with those areas of focus that James was talking about. So guest speakers, we're always looking for new and exciting guest speakers. So as you heard earlier in the service today, we have Stephen Dinan coming very soon. We're looking at bringing the Ruiz brothers back because that was so popular. We are also bringing Gary Simmons for 2 different weekends. The first one is in March and the second one is in April. So he'll be the featured speaker and we'll have some workshops from him. And he's going to be coaching us and helping us as we continue our journey into mission-centered ministry. One of the things that he's going to be doing in his visit in April is, it's called a geneogram, but it's also, what it really is an organizational cue. So those of you that have been through the cue process, we're going to see how we are as an organization, not just, we did the individual work first, but what are the shadows? What are the things that we don't even realize are driving us as an organization? And so I'm really excited about that. That's going to be super interesting, kind of to take the pulse of our organization and see ourselves in an enlightened way. We'll see how that goes. Then we also we're looking at ongoing classes and workshops. We have another session of the Q scheduled. I think that, I'm not sure, Elaine, are you guys still doing the small groups if people want to come and do continued? By appointment. Okay, do continued Q work, so be looking for things like that. We want to make sure that we deepen that work and make it part of our culture in our organization. We also are looking at, when we have guest speakers, we're making a point of maximizing those guest speakers and having workshops associated with those. We're looking at the possibility of bringing Jose Ruiz in as a featured speaker for our Faith in Action in the fall. Oh, it's confirmed. All right. Yay. Okay, so he'll be back. There's also the possibility in terms of the family and children's groups or youth groups, a summer family camp is in the conversation stages. There are also, and Elaine might be able to explain this a little bit better, the Next Gen group, the Unity Teens, is looking at doing a First Friday. That's not confirmed yet, right? Or It is? Oh, First Fridays are confirmed. So an opportunity for the youth to get together on the first Fridays of evenings of every month. So you'll be hearing more about that. We'll have a gala this next year. We'll have the winter mingle. We're looking at more possibilities of raffle opportunities. I know there's at least one potential cruise that might be a raffle item coming up, so be on the lookout for that. And then, in case you haven't figured it out already, this year is the 20th anniversary for Spiritual Life Center. So that's a big deal, really big deal. And in fact, I noticed, I don't know who was responsible for putting all the posters up on the back wall. Did you guys see those? That's so awesome. It's a little encapsulated history right there of some of the events. Paula did that? Oh, it's awesome. I love that. I love it. It's great. So take a look at those when you get a chance. So I want to bring Martha up to talk briefly about some of the ideas around the 20th anniversary.
Oh, so much to say about the 20th anniversary. Suzanne Joy Livingston, as you may know, is a writer and has been a long-time member of SLC. And she has written a history of Spiritual Life Center, and she is working on a snippet that she's an excerpt, I guess you would say, a brief history of SLC time, with the intention of showing the many multi-layered connections that have been created as SLC has been born and reinvented and created souls that have then gone out and taken that message elsewhere. I'd love to read what she's handed me, but because of time, I can't. But out of that, this history is part of one of the ways in which we want to commemorate the 20th anniversary, and that is to create a family tree. It's going to be a visual. We've talked about it being technology-based, but we're not attached to any one idea just yet. But to be able to show many of the connections of people who've come through the doors and have carried the word out and are either still planted here and doing that in some other way, or who have gone on, they remain a part of the family. So we want to honor that 20 years of spiritual networking that we've been engaged with. And along with that is the memories and the storytelling and the traditions that have come and gone and the ones that are carrying on, all of that. And it's appropriate that it happens within this time when we are shifting and reinventing and rebirthing into the mission-centric model. Because in order to move forward, one has to honor and understand where one has come from. So it's so appropriate. So in terms of events this year, one of our first kind of out-the-gate events, although our full intention this entire year is to keep in mind that 20th anniversary and the significance of that, both in going from the past, but also in where we are going into the future. Where will we be in 20 years from now? So one of the first events, commemorations, will be March 4th, which is a Sunday, and it is Faith Moran's birthday. And we thought how appropriate, the mother of SLC, to commemorate her energy, the energy of the Divine Mother, and that energy of rebirth and creation. So that will be March 4th, Sunday. And I would like to have something after that. And that's something, I'm not sure what it looks like, but if you're interested in helping us manifest what that something looks like, there's a volunteer opportunity there. And that is the week before Gary Simmons comes to reiterate and reintroduce us, elaborate on what is a mission-centric ministry. So that is another opportunity where we can start holding in mind where we have been and who we have come here to be and what that will look like and manifest. So it's important. So for me, one of the overall themes is memories and remembering And where does that memory take us as we transmute and rebirth ourselves? So March 4th, the weekend that Gary comes, that the following weekend could be an opportunity for us to share our memories and ideas. Then he comes back in April for a full-on getting folks together to create our community cue card. And as he is servicing us here on the board, one vehicle towards creating your community cue card is the stories from one's past and the stories of your relationship to other religious or spiritual experiences. So I think that's an opportune time for people to bring your pictures, to bring your memories, to bring all those things that help you shape what you want SLC to be into that mix. And out of that, Gary will help us understand what our community cue card is, meaning the shadow work, the things that we need to look at, honor, grieve, release, transmute, etc. So that's another opportunity to help us with that bigger picture. But just in terms of dates, our gala will be September 14th. That's my understanding, is we have that date on hold. And the gala will feature a lot of sharing of memories, both in video and audio and however else we think we might want to do that. So the gala, if you want to help with that, by all means, there's a way to sign up to help. Our actual birthday or anniversary is November 1st, which is a Thursday. And synchronistically, that is the week that a contingent of people will leave here to go to the Parliament of World Religions that's being held in Canada that whole week. So that Wednesday, which is October 31st, interesting, and Thursday, our actual birthday, the day before All Souls Week, Souls Day, all of this just works. We will have something on that Wednesday, again, to honor our beginnings in the interfaith world of being leaders in the interfaith world. And then finally, we have our Winter Mingle is set right now for December 7th. And it will be again at the Winter Mingle, where we will share and do a more, I guess you'd say, a more formal celebration of our 20th and launch us into 2019. So those are some of the key events. Oh, and we're also going to have a reunion picnic. April may be the time that we do that, or it may be a little later. But if you want to I see that in my mind as people bringing their memories, whether it was your memories from a year on the board, or memories from being one of the first to help create SLC, bring those and we kind of do a memory swap and sharing and storytelling. So if you want to help have energy around birthing that picnic, by all means, there's an opportunity to sign up to do so. So I know I'm running long, so I think I've covered most of what I needed to say, but there will be more opportunities. The latter part of this agenda, I'll talk to you about how to volunteer and step up into service in any one of those areas. Thank you.
Okay. Oops, sorry. Thank you. I'm just going to cut this really short. Okay, I just want to give you a very brief update on our vision mission. This is coming from some inquiries I've heard from other people and just knowing that there's a need for clarity. In conjunction with this moving into a mission-centered ministry and it being our 20th anniversary, one of the things that we want to do this year is to get together and take a look at our vision and our mission. I mean, we say the words every Sunday, and do we really get what that means anymore? Have we checked in about whether those words say who we are and what we're here to do? And so what I want to do is do a combination of get some focus groups together, have some either Saturday or evening activities. We haven't gotten this stuff on the calendar yet, but you'll be hearing about it. I just want you to know that as we take a look at our vision and mission, this is a collaborative community effort. This isn't something that the board is going to decide by itself. We threw in a little extra wording a while back on our love, serve, and remember, and we said we transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. Because as we're talking about this, it's like, well, what is it we do while we're, love, serve, and remember is kind of how we do it, but what are we doing? And all of us have had some sort of personal transformation since we've been here. But really, when we really look at, we say, Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant community, and we sure are. And so we really want to look at all of that. Maybe we don't change anything. Maybe we tweak a word here or there, but if nothing else, we just take some time as a community in some structured group opportunities where we just sit with those words and we just say, do these still fit? Is there something we want to add or subtract or enrich? And so be looking for opportunities. We're going to be coming out to all of you to say, let's just look at this. And because if we're mission-centered, what is our mission? And are we all, juicy behind it? What gets us going? And so I'm really excited about doing that this year, and it's a super high priority for those of us on the board. So I just wanted to clarify that and let you know. And then, of course, the 2 visits with Gary are going to help deepen the structure around being mission-centered. Interestingly, when the board first heard Gary's proposal and looked at what he was talking about, I think one of the biggest things that came up for us was, we're already doing that, a lot of it. I mean, we've always been very driven by who we are and what we're here to be. So it wasn't like a big shift. It was just kind of putting a nice little container around what we were already doing and giving us some bigger, broader tools for doing that. So be looking for that. Probably in the next few months, we'll be talking to you about some evening workshops or maybe Saturday. I'm kind of picturing small groups where we get several different facilitators and everybody gets a chance in a really small group to speak their truth and have their say about why we're here. James talks about the why. So we're going to be looking at that. Okay. All right, next up is Elaine for our budget update.
Exciting part, huh?
It is.
Yeah. Thanks. I don't know about you, but I've been sitting there too long, and these seats are not nearly as comfortable as those. So take a second, just stand up if you want to, and stretch out a little bit. Because I know that you can take in only as much as your behind can handle. So I want you to shake it all out because I have numbers and great ideas I want you to hear. Go ahead and take a second and just, move your arms around. You can do this for me, James. Hold on.
Okay.
Everybody do this for a second. Just do that. Yeah. All right, shake it out. There you go, and go ahead and have a seat. And I just want to be able to report to a friend that I got a standing O for doing the budget update. You are all witnesses. I won the bet, and I will donate it back to SLC. So, with that being said, it's my time to talk about numbers. How many of you were here on September, for the September town hall meeting? Because I know it was, a few of you. So if you'll allow me to, just for a second, to do a little bit of the same opening. Just breathe, okay? Because we're going to talk about numbers. And in my old past life in the credit union movement world, anytime we talked about financial planning or numbers, and people would come to the credit union to find out how to get financially set or how to leave their dreams, how to get their kids through college, how to get the dream of their home, how to be able to basically achieve all the things you want out of your life. And this morning we talked a lot about our mission and our vision and how are we going to fund that. In many ways, as an organization, it's really very, very similar to what you do every day in a personal life. And many of you might find, my personal finances are not that great. And I'm here to tell you that I've spent a majority, almost 30 years of my life, really working in the financial services industry because, guess what? We will tell our kids, and we will do everything as parents and to get our kids the highest education, because education will get you the higher earning jobs, and we will teach you all those things. But we never, ever teach you how to manage the money you make. It's not done. It's not done in high schools. It's not done in colleges. And if you ask Consumer Credit Counseling, if you ask every financial institution, if you ask every lawyer, because we've done the research, I've done it for 30 years. We've gone to different churches and faith-based organizations, and they told us in the credit union movement, please teach people how to manage their finances. You will save families. It's the number one reason in many cases up there with why families divorce. It's just a plain struggle of making those ends meet. So it makes no difference. Imagine you take people who are individually never taught anywhere how to manage your money, and then you put them in government, and you put them in Congress, and you put them heads of CEOs of organizations. Are you surprised? So what I want you to do is just breathe, because I always tell people, you have the accounting types, and I'm actually like the half left brain, right brain kind of person. I'm a family full of accountants and CPAs and IRS folks, and then I came out as the marketer who has to be around the numbers. Because there's many things. When we talk about growing, when we talk about expanding and all these things, we talk about outreach. That's what a marketer wants to do, to get people connected with the products and services and the benefits that you have as an organization. And then the accountant folks are going to tell you that's not possible. How are you going to get there? Okay, so there's a bridging of the gap, and a lot of it is from education that we don't have. So I want you to breathe. And there's history here in this church, because I want to tell you, every organization of nonprofits, I brought the book that has, many of you might have read it, and I know Ira is like going, your lives are recording, and you always step out of frame, Elaine. I work in the booth, and I know what it's like. She's going rogue. She's going rogue. So, not your parents' offering plate. Have some of you read it? There's some principles on it that doesn't necessarily fit SLC, but I can tell you one of the things that they do is they really talk about what are successful nonprofit organizations do to actually raise money, and what is the ask, and how is it that there's a disconnect that churches don't know these very facts. So why do people give? Okay, why do people give, and what motivates people to decide how they're going to fund this mission vision? And this is a great way to start when we talk about what we're doing here and how we're going to get to where we're going and how we've already achieved the amazing accomplishments we've done together. So in a clergy seminar, they asked, I put to screen a laundry list of why people give, and then I asked the pastors to choose which ones they felt were the number 1, 2, and 3 chief reasons people give. No one was even close. Finally, a lady who had been sitting quietly in the back raised her hand and said, number 1 is a belief in the mission. Number 2 is a regard for staff leadership. And number 3 is fiscal responsibility. She was right. I was stunned. I asked her where she was a pastor, and she sheepishly said, I am not a pastor, but my pastor told me about this seminar, and I thought I might learn something. I am the executive director of Habitat for Humanity. Your mission, your staff leadership, right, and fiscal responsibility. So those are the 3 things that I'm going to be talking about and I'm going to pose to you. Are we on board? You've heard a lot this morning, because we want to know. That's the number 1 reason. Are you on this mission vision with us? And we don't want it to be their mission vision, my mission vision. It's our mission vision. And we're going to work toward that this year. And then we're also going to go through the shadow stuff, because many of you already know the Q side, but as an organization, we all have our limiting beliefs, just as we as individuals, not being good enough, not loved enough, all of our pain bodies. And so I'm hoping that this year, as pretty much a newbie like CJ and my beautiful Celia here, I've only been in part of this community for 3 years. But I came as a broken person, and I'm completely different than the person I stand here today. And it is all that beautiful energy that comes from every aspect of the folks that are here and that are out there, and every one of you who show up here and live out your truth, as unique as it is to each one of you. So, are we on board with where we're going? It's a pretty important question, because when we look at the numbers, if we're not, then we'll have to look at where are we off, or how do we fund it, because it's important that we're all trying to achieve this beautiful transformation together. It's really just an outpouring of our internal transformation that shines out into the world. Are we in agreement? Sound good? Yeah. Second one I wanted to is talk about a little bit of the leadership and the staff. And we've had lots of changes, right? You've seen rotating faces, and maybe that level of security, or that level of, is it the right person? Is it the right pastor? Is it the right operations manager? Boy, that's just a returning door of youth ed directors going in and out, right? Is that feeling? But have you seen what we've created lately? I can tell you that in the 1 year that I've been here, although I do remember saying this to Becca, and she remembers this directly, I think it was only on day 2, I peeked into her office and I said, this place has to get a lot more fun or I cannot work here. And then I tried to get people to dance before a staff meeting. But what I found was that this is a room full and a community full of people so passionate, so heartfelt, who have given to the point you can't give enough, who have big dreams with some limitations, and really all of it was about all of us just getting in alignment. There was a little bit of breathing and just realizing that all of us are thinking the same things and we're feeling overwhelmed, but more importantly, it's amazing, all of you out there keep us going, because I said it's almost our fault, staff, because we make it look easy. Because they have no idea what happens behind the scenes. But if we sit there every week, we start with awesomeness. And I say that to you because, again, I've watched this team pull together, and I can't speak from the past, but I can tell you this, and we brought in and called forth beautiful support like Randy Sizemore, an unpaid accounting manager. This man retired on January 4th, and then a few weeks later came out of retirement to unpaid be your part-time accounting manager. He is my right hand. Thank you, Nan. He was recognized at the last town hall, but he was not here for that. And folks like Deborah, Reverend Deborah, who runs the whole Wednesday program, and she is a volunteer position. So I want to say, we don't go deep into it when you talk about the staff, and I do it as all of them, that you may see a lot of faces, but you may not realize that they're only working paid to be here maybe 4 hours or 2 hours or whatnot. Claire Clinsley, that you see every week in the cashier, that is a volunteer job she does. She's only paid for hours that she does accounting, which is Monday. You don't even see Richard, who comes in for 4 hours to help us do all of the bank deposits. There's usually a closed gate, and only the accounting team and Louise and some of the staff who works on Monday work that day. But there's a team of people behind the scenes, and we have last year cut to be able to get that down, to be able to do it tight, to do more. And so what I want to say is, do you love the programs we're doing? And I have to tell you this, staff walks on water in my eyes. And so we swim and we dance and we have a great time, because at the end of the day, this whole group is in it with you. We love this place. And they will say, why are you here? And I said, today I'm not even working. You'll see me over there. I thought this was your day off. That means I can wear jeans. That means I need to move on. And I can actually play with the kids across the way. So I haven't yet figured out how not to be here 7 days a week, and my family would like to do that. And now I feel healthy. I would like to have a relationship at some point in time too. So we're going to streamline everything and get healthy. So let's take a look at where we've been. I'm going to go ahead and take you through these numbers so that you have that feeling of where we're going, because I've talked a little bit about our mission and vision. I've talked about our staff, and do you feel comfortable with your leadership? And we are always fine-tuning that. And then I now want to make sure you're comfortable with the fiscal responsibility and what we're doing here in the transparency at SLC. Sound good? Okay, so let's take a look real quick. I'm pointing there. Print. You can just fast forward it for me. I don't know why it's not going. Mr. Ira, just advance the screen. Good stuff. We're going to talk about money and the money power. Okay, so go ahead and open your handouts. It's the first chart. So the first chart I want to just basically go over is what you have for historical year end. This is off of our balance sheet for the non-financial people. It's a snapshot in time. When I print out that balance sheet on that date, on December 31st, that's the numbers. 10 minutes later, Claire might have written a check, so the numbers have changed, okay? So at a snapshot in time, we looked at balance sheet numbers for the years ending 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, and I want you to be able to see the trend. We ended last year, the very last bar, at 108 at that moment in time at the balance sheet with our total balances of our accounts. We have an operating fund, operating checking account, a building checking account, and a money market savings kind of combined account. We're not even going to bore you with all the accomplishments because accounting had a tremendous amount of accomplishments, and you'll hear that in our annual meeting. But I do want to show you that we are further ahead than we were in 2012. Take a look at that orange, and that's important because your board and leadership over the years really started to say we need to put savings away and we need to build up the building fund, because in 2012 you only had little less than $4,000 towards a building fund. We ended last year with $42,000, that $4,000 to $42,000 in a building fund. And we transfer every month $250 towards that fund, and there's some of you who give directly towards that fund every month as well. You'll also see we had also been sending $250 just regular to savings. So we pay ourselves first, money into our savings and money into our building fund. That has been going. So you see that gap, but take a look though, in terms of how we've been operating, and we shared this last year, if you remember. I stood here at the town hall meeting last year and told you about how we ended the year with a negative $5,100. It's important to say though, that we gave away in tithes last year almost $66,000. So if we even just decided to do 5,000 less, we would have been at the zero budget we were trying to aim for this year. But look at where we are this year. So we've taken a look at what we did, and many of you may not have remembered that, but we presented to you a budget that basically said we're going to raise X amount of money, and then we're going to have a budget tight to be able to spend it. We have something to spend on every point of that bar. And I shared with you in September that we were at that point about 10% short of our regular offerings. And that was at that point about $34,000 less than what we had hoped. We were at that point. But we still had the gala and still had the rest of the year, and I didn't know how that was going to end. But I can tell you that we had the highest raising gala we've ever had. And we've had, in fact, our entire events for the year had a high goal of $53,000. The beginning of the year with consciousness, the chair said, 53, we can do 56. We actually raised over $56,000 last year. Our education group knew that we were behind, and so they had a budget about $7,600 to net in all those education. Because we knew we were trying to catch up, we actually ended with making about $14,000 in education events, trying to close that gap. But we still, at the end of the year, I can tell you, we ended at about 88% of what we had hoped to make in our offerings, and that was actually equated to a $60,000 less than we had hoped. Again, we were doing a zero budget. We actually cut, as best we could, over $20,000 in expenses, but that still left a $40,000 gap that is hard to make up when you're already doubling what you can in education and exceeding what you're doing in events. You just can't make up that much time in a 3-month period of time. So we want to stop that trend, and how do you do it? Just like a personal banking, if you have money in savings and you didn't get the income you needed in this month, but you got still ongoing payments to make, you borrow from your savings. And we did that last year. And as you can see, the gray is the savings account. That has steadily been eroding. And I'm here as your finance manager to let you know we can transfer maybe one more time. But really the deal is we really need to look at how do we gain that gap? How do we fill that gap? Because the programs are amazing. And what we see as we're meeting our mission vision, it's something we really need to look at how we fund it. So let me see. I'm pointing over there. You can go forward. I'm not aiming it. You can forward it. Did it work? It's not working for me. Can you forward it for me, Sasha? I don't know why. There you go. So there you see the expenses. And we did this for you on purpose because we wanted you to see how each of those programs we've talked about actually cost. And you're taking, whether it's youth and family, music ministry, adult education, community education, media and outreach, worship experience overall, and then our service and connection opportunities. That's like our chaplain program and all the things that we do with small groups. And you can see that's one of the most important things, but that would have had a higher dollar amount. These include staff times allocation, but we no longer have a full-time volunteer coordinator. So probably one of the most important thing is connecting people, as CJ said, to the great things we have, and we are not putting investment and time into having someone help make those connections to all the great things we have here to offer. So that's an area that we hope, and I'll be asking for volunteers to see if we can get more of those connecting opportunities. Total expenses then, let's look at the income. Some people want to know, where does our income come from? See that big blue? That's all from offerings and unrestricted offerings. That's how we pay for everything that happens here for the most part. And then there's the balances next are down to fundraising, adult education, and then all the other little fundraisings. But it's important, what percentage of what we get every month makes up our ability to do what we do here and to fund our mission. As you look at those numbers, you're thinking, well, that's not so bad, 574, and it said, hey, 572, but you're talking about a loss. Well, that was before we did the tithe. So the next green bar just gives you an idea. Before we take the 10% of our unrestricted offerings, we actually would have been ahead about $1,000. But we are committed, we're a tithe, and we believe in that prosperity flow of principles. You've heard how much we are touching lives and transforming lives. And so you can see that our operating expense was a little shy in that gap this year. So how can we move ahead? So I'm talking about some of the prior years. You talked about the facilities. This was important for us to see that this is a building that needs some of our funding, and we have a projected about $39,000 that need to be looked at for our facilities this year alone. In the past, how have we been able to, for historical purposes, because it's important to know that this community has relied on different types of loans to help us through what I call cash flow issues. So in the past, we had a bank loan, and you can see that that was done in 2012. There was a balance, and we was able to pay off. And then about that same time, as Sally mentioned, then we actually took kind of a loan to ourselves. We had, they've done that community tithe. They've counted. They were saying, just like I showed you, well, if we just didn't pay tithe, then maybe we can make those numbers meet. But they kept balance. We kept track of how much that liability was. And so we were honoring to pay that back, and we just started to do that. And you can see, as of last year, we're done. But so we're at that point. We've paid down the 2 different bank tithes. We've paid down the loans, but we're still now at that point of a gap. So what can we be doing? What's going to take next year? So take a look. It's not that much more. And some of the things that we looked as a comparison, you can see the changes. We figured instead of boring you with all the simple line items, we wanted to say, are you happy with what you're seeing? Just the month of January alone with the Mary Youngbloods, the Women of Spirit, we've almost doubled the ladies that come on the first Saturdays. Our events are ridiculous. Every one of our special events are overflow only. When I have been meeting with financial planners and bankers, and they said, well, this about what are the options for you as a community, and that's what we're coming for you today. It's important for you to know that this leadership and staff have not approved a budget, because we want to know, one, are we doing the right mission? And it's asking you here today. And then 2, are you on board with what the programs we're offering here? And the way we're utilizing and allocating the funds that you entrust with us. We want to know that you are on board with how we are allocating those different things. And you can see that the increases from last year to this year is really, I can easily tell you some of the big numbers. Celia had mentioned that she gave 500 hours. Sasha is not that benevolent. We need 2 people to be in that sound booth now that we're live streaming. And Sasha is a beautiful person, but she is a contract laborer for us. So an entire staff person just for the hours here and on Wednesday that she serves. 500 hours were donated last year. 500 hours just to do what we did last year now costs us more money. You saw the beautiful work that Lori does in her teens. That youth ed director position has been cut from 20 hours to 16 hours to 12 hours. Lori cannot do it. She'll put in 20 hours, but is only getting paid 12. And she used to have 4 different staff people. There used to be 2 people in the nursery. We couldn't afford to pay people to be in there with 1 person, so we even cut staff time for that. So now they meet with her. So she's down to 1 paid assistant, and that's Caitlin. And so we took away all that, and I've asked that in order for us to even continue to do what we do, that we reinstate those hours. And not even all the way back to 20. I'm trying to get from 12 to 16 and to give Caitlin 4 to 6. And that's it. By the time you add, everyone's going to tell you the highest dollar in any organization is always staff and personnel. And so I can tell you this, I talked about cutting 20 already, and my team knows this is not a surprise to them, but for us to really make up that gap, that difference, if we were trying to find that additional 40, although I'm about to take down some of the phone systems, and if I can find something, we're going to find it. We are actively always trying to take things down, and we're renegotiating an insurance plan this week too. So, but really, honestly, to make the gap, we are down to the point of you really have to let go of personnel, or you have to get rid of contract labor, which is your music ministry or your live streaming. And the question is, if that's what you want, or if you want to do many, many other ways to make that happen. So I'm going to tell you about those options. Year of intention. I can tell you right now that if we actually attack this, not even attack that, that's juicy. If we actually open to the opportunities that's out there, but I need to hear from this congregation, are you open for it? One of the things that we've looked at was simply an intentional giving, and we do that every year, and we're going to launch one next week and the week after. And do you realize that if I simply said to you, this is going to be a staggering number to you, that we deposit every Monday, anywhere, Randy's in the room, what is our weekly deposit? It's like 31, I have that handout here. Tithing, or when we deposit every week. It's in between 3,100. Yeah, I just, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, through all the events, through everything else. So one of the things that I will just tell you, one of the things Randy and I looked at is if everybody would just do a 10%. We picked 1 month of the year, and I would, last thing I'm going to say here is I'm going to take a breath, and I know that I'm running a little late, but is this important to you, or would you rather not know? Okay, good. So forgive me. So the important thing I want to say to you, and it's something that came as the most valuable thing that Gary Simmons said, and he has been wonderful as a mentor to both Louise and I as our Q mentor, and also working with the board for Mission Centric. But he said, please, 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 don't talk about money to an open group and talk to them in one way. Because you need to understand there are 5 different groups of givers, and all of them are necessary and important part of your organization. It's just like talking about every part of your body. There's different people who are the visionaries and the hands and the feet, and maybe the other parts that you don't see, but I would dare say none of you would want to give up your liver. You know what I mean? So there's just different parts that are more visible, and one more than the other, but none of it, there's not one part of the organization that wouldn't be necessary to do what we do and to actually thrive the way we thrive. So I want to acknowledge that you self-identify for yourself out there, okay? So maybe that there's one group of folks here who are maybe in the higher tier, those that actually have money that they can spend and they can invest, and they are generous beyond measures. And the amount they give every month or every week or annually on EFT is really what motivates them to give, is because they completely believe in what we're doing here, and it is an investment. The dollar amount they give, the opportunities they're saying, they are totally on board with investing money in what we do, and they actually have different expectations of what they want to hear and the information that's given to them, and even the risk that they want us to take, because they're investing in the long life of this place with their money. Then there's another group of individuals, self-identify. Regular givers usually are EFTs. It's very, very beautiful, and they're generous in what they give, but they're probably working or have many things they give to, okay? Spiritual Life Center is one of them, but there are many things that they're very generous with, and they're happy with what they give, and we're happy with what they give, but most likely that any additional ask is not really going to motivate them to give more, because they've analyzed it, they've budgeted it, they feel really good about what they give, and that's the allocation they give to SLC. Make sense? That's that one type of motivated giver. There's another type of category, motivated giver, and those are the ones who give because this is a place that they're spiritually fed, right? So when there's a really amazing service, it's like, oh, I'll give even more. But maybe they don't like how we're doing something, and well, I'm not going to give today. That didn't move me so much. Does that make sense? And so, so some of them kind of depend. It's like, it depends on how much I'm feeling fed, whether it's an interaction or a course or with a leadership or staff involvement. So that one's a little bit different because you have to be really careful about asking there because you got to make sure, are they spiritually fed? Not. And so there's a whole nother conversation there, right? Then there are others who maybe have more limited income, but you know what? They're here, they're active, they time, talent, and treasure, remember? I always use the gala, what good is it if everybody comes with paddles to raise, but nobody will serve food and be butlers and work the auction? It's like every aspect of this community is needed for how we operate. And so we've got those who, they are all on board, but you're not ever going to really know how much they give to this organization by simply the dollar amount that's in their annual giving, right? And then there are those who really just don't have the means, but they come here because they need to be here. And they're really the very people that somebody said, that's why we exist. We want all of them, and maybe they become part of it, and they move from that being in the seats to ownership of this community. So with that being said, there's no one letter, no one talk or speech that I could say that is going to resonate with all of you. But I want you to know that we recognize that from a leadership standpoint, and we are beginning to find ways. You're seeing us trying to get into Shelby, and we're not trying to be nosy. We're trying to understand how to communicate with you and what motivates you, because this is a win-win opportunity to plant the seeds and to nurture it and to grow it. So give us an opportunity to, or help me and self-identify and say, Elaine, I'm one of these people, and this is what I need, or how I can serve, and how we can actually do our part, whatever it is for you to do. So I'm here to tell you, every one of you are important. There's not one more important than the other, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There are certain aspects without one that we can't do, but we all shift and move. But I believe that there's infinite possibilities of calling in even more in every one of those categories. Don't you agree? Yeah, so it's amazing. So with that being said, what are the different ways we can do it? So I've heard, and again, this is where you have to just breathe in and release some of the pain bodies. How many of you would be opposed? So I want to just you've seen the drill. If we continue what we're doing, I really honestly will not have any more in checking. But is there a problem with, are you okay, because your finance committee wants to make sure, because fiscal responsibility and accounting transparency for me. How do you feel about if we have major improvements of the facilities, but we've been saving money in a building fund to maybe one day purchase a building, but we're looking at a cash flow where, hey, we might have $10,000 of roofing repair. Would it be inappropriate or yay, nay for the board to say, can we use the building fund to fund some of those building repairs? Would that be unreasonable? No? Okay. All right. So, would that be okay? Yes. Okay. And I'm not saying we're going to have to do this, but we want to know what you're okay with. Okay. We have a building that I've already talked to a realtor, and it was purchased at $940,000. It is. We have it on the books for a little bit over $1 million. He does not believe it has depreciated. We're only in a Class C section. We're only meaning that it's low rent, high vacancies in the area. But he does believe that we haven't depreciated in our value. So he really believes we're still at about $100 per square foot for this facility, and we own it outright. Would there be a problem? Now, we've had negative cash flow, so I can't find very many conventional lenders who are excited about lending, or haven't really had a hard time finding one. But I do have, through some contacts, others that are looking at brokers to see, would there be, in your opinion, a chance to do either an equity loan or something just to help us through the cash flow? We make like $40,000 at Gala, but I got to pay bills March, April, May. So would you be okay with me looking at equity in this building or a line of credit just to help us through the cash flow? Okay, hands that say yes. Okay. Oh, and are we going to do the? Yeah, we can't do that. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do. So in general, I'm hearing we're going to do the survey, and we're going to be doing that. So so that's what we're doing here today, is telling you some of the differences, and I hear that clearly, and they're going to talk about the follow-ups after today. So those are the things I'm looking at. We are also going to do different things of events outside of this community, and we're going to do it anyway because our view is I can keep doing events here, but it's the same people who are going. So you'll notice that we're going to be doing more things at big community events that will bring community folks out. And because our capacity in this building is too small, that's an issue here. One of the things we're looking at is probably an option, and if you want to be on that group, is leasing next door, because they have a bigger space next door where we could look at leasing it so we can have a bigger sanctuary in there, and this could be the youth children's church. This could be where we have children's church instead of them doing it in the kitchen. So if you are open to that, we will explore that. Okay, and that would require possibly having access to some of the money to be able to do that. So these are options, because we wouldn't had to have sold out on any event. No Mystic, if anything, if we were just next door in a bigger room. Does that make sense? So there's many things, and I just wanted to make sure those are the main things, and there's many opportunities. I can tell you, I would be honest with you, I told Randy I would definitely tell you about cash flow because it's a concern, but I have to tell you, every banker, every loan officer I told about our numbers and about the problems I have about overfull places and how many people actually show up at a town hall meeting. He says, people show up at your town hall meeting? And he actually said that our average giver per person here is almost $800 more than the national average. Yeah, so it was pretty amazing. So he said, you have a lot of good problems. And Gary Simmons said the number one thing is go get your cash flow issues taken care of, because right now you can't even vision because you're worried. But I'm wanting you to know, do you believe in our mission? I sure do. Are you comfortable with the leadership and the staff that is making this happen for you? I sure am. And are you comfortable with the fiscal responsibility and transparency you're seeing? If you are, then let's join together and make this happen, okay?
All right, that's a lot to digest, I know. One of the things that I had not mentioned before is that we want to do a survey. We had hoped to have something together for the meeting today, but then we decided we really wanted to make it a real thoughtful process. We definitely want to hear what you all think. Elaine asked you a lot of questions, and there were a lot of different thoughts and ideas, and we want to hear all of that before we make big decisions. So we also are going to be crafting a survey, which will be available. We'll have some paper copies. We're hoping that most people can manage it online. It'll show up on the website. So we'll be letting you know about that. So you will have your opportunity for input. Okay. So the last piece that, and first of all, I want to check in. I know that we're 20 minutes over. Can you guys hang for 10 more minutes? Can you take us till 2:30 and we'll wrap up? And we also want to have, I know there's probably some questions and answers. I want to make space for that. So I just briefly want to tell you about how you can help, how you can be involved, because we've shared with you all the great things we've done in 2017. We've talked a lot about the things that are coming up in 2018. We have a vibrant, thriving community and lots of creative ideas and creative people. So here are just some ways that you can help. First of all, what I want to share with you is that we have 2 midterm vacancies on the board that we are going to be filling immediately. So I have 3 copies of board member applications on the back table. And so we're looking for 2 people, and we want to do interviews in the next week or so. So this is kind of an urgent thing. Our normal process begins in March. We probably have 2 to 3, maybe 4 vacancies coming up as just the normal turnover on the board for this coming spring. So we'll begin talking to you probably late February, and we'll be accepting applications in March, and the next board term will begin with the June board meeting. So that's our regular cycle. But for right now, we have 2 vacancies that we want to fill right away. And so if you really feel, oh yeah, thank you. So since these are midterm vacancies, the terms for those, the commitment there would be filling out the rest of a vacant term. And so they're about 14 months in length. So that commitment would be 14 months with an option to extend for an additional 3-year term based upon approval of the community. But right now, the board has the authority to fill interim vacancies for that short-term piece. So if you have any questions about that, see me or any of the other board members to see if that's something that you feel called to do. And as I say, the applications are on the back table, or if you want me to send you the application package electronically, let me know. I'll be happy to do that. So there's a call to action. And we also have some other volunteer opportunities, and I'm going to bring Martha up to talk about that. She's got some sign-up sheets in the back and lots of exciting ways you can step up and help.
Thank you so much. So right immediately, what we have is sign-up specific tasks in the back. We're looking for new members for our Prosperity Fundraising Committee, and that is the committee that generates the energy and keeps the balls up and in the air and moving for things such as our intentional giving campaign, the gala, and the winter mingle, and other different kinds of ways in which we reach out to do special fundraising. Last year, collectively, our fundraising efforts were garnered $56,000, which was up a fair amount I get from the year before. I don't remember what it was, but so that committee, the team, as I'm calling it now, are the nucleus of the people who are willing to kind of take a lead role in any one of those kinds of projects, but we would meet on a regular basis. And then an offshoot of those will be more like subcommittees that take on specific events. So if you're interested in, for example, helping us organize something that will happen on the March 4th in commemoration and celebration of Faith Moran's birthday and the divine feminine and creation. There is one specific to March 4th, since that's one that needs to happen very quickly. There's one for our reunion picnic. If you have energy around helping make that happen, need people to help us identify a place and conceptualize that what will happen there. And then there is also, I believe, one of them. Louise, could you look at them real quick? Is one of those for the gala specifically? Yes, it was. I made it at the last minute at someone's request. Specifically, if you're interested in being a part of the gala creation, in particular, the piece that celebrates our 20 years, by all means, this is an opportunity for you to sign up for that. So that's what I'm asking for today. And as we move forward, I will be looking at and leading, hopefully, a team to look at how we can streamline volunteering in general, utilizing technology, not totally relying on it, because we know a lot of people aren't going to take to that. But there is so much we could do utilizing technology to be more efficient, so that Becca's role is really as a conductor rather than as somebody who literally has to enter the data separately. All of that takes labor hours, when if you all could enter your own volunteer time, that saves cumulatively a great deal of staff time. So those are some of the thoughts coming up, and there are many, 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 many more. So if you want to just write thank you letters periodically, there's opportunities for that. And as you know, there's many more opportunities, but that's where we'll leave it for the moment.
All right, thank you. We're also looking at the thought of having a volunteer coordinator. We have paid staff. We have a small paid staff. We have volunteer workers. You mentioned Claire. This takes all of us to step up in lots of different ways, whether you're on the board or lots of work to be done and to fuel all the great ideas that we have. So if you think about it and you feel like you would like to, you have some experience or some energy behind kind of managing volunteers, and in particular the day-to-day things that happen on Sundays, the logistics for Sundays, we're going to be writing up a job description, and that'll show up on the weekly message. So think about that and be looking for that. That's an opportunity to step up into service. And then other things that you can do, we're going to be looking at the concept of sponsorships. We've had other people sponsor like the gala, and we're looking at a lot of the different nonprofit models and how they have sponsoring members or different levels of membership. And we're going to be digging into that more deeply in our work with Gary as we more clearly understand the concept of membership in a mission-centered ministry. And as Elaine said, it takes all parts. It takes your time, your talent, and your treasures. So sponsorships for special causes, for special programs, or just ongoing sponsorships. Even sponsorships for maybe you're excited about the children's program and you want to earmark some funding to help with the children's program or to help with Gary's consulting services. I heard recently that we're looking for another TV, a 65 to 70-inch TV. Anybody want to sponsor a new TV set for your church? We had that wish list on Amazon, and I don't know if we're going to be re-editing and adding to that. We still have that. Okay, the website on the donation page, so let your fingers do the walking. And so there are lots of different ways to share your time, your talent, and your treasures, and it takes all of it and all of us for this. It's really coming back to the why we're here. You know, we're here because this place transforms lives. This is what we do, this community. It's what we share with each other. It's what we each have personally experienced. I'm totally not the same person I was. I think I've heard everybody say, I came here, I was a broken person. Well, that's like a broken record, but it's my story too. You know, I came here because 3 different people in my life from 3 different areas said, oh, you got to go to this place called SLC. And I was going through a divorce, and I was a mess. And my first day in there, I was in tears, sitting in the back. And how many times have you heard that story? That's what we do here, you know. And then we form this community and this heart and this connection. I'm going to make myself cry now. That it's just, you know, that's what we do. It's a spiritual deepening. And what would the world be like if we could spread that so much further, so much beyond our boundaries? We're doing that with the live streaming. I mean, that's the thing, is get passionate about who we are and why we're here. And then it's what does it take to support it? And Elaine did a beautiful job of showing the truth of where we are, what our needs are. And if you support what we're doing, then it takes every piece of what you have to give. And I know that when you show up as the broken person, you're in receiving place, and that's great too. That's, you know, it's all different places of where each person is, and we honor every bit of that for whoever comes in the door. So I think I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll open up to questions. We have a microphone in the middle, so any questions? Oh, by the way, just as a mental note, I have some note paper and pens on the back table. If you're one of those people that doesn't want to ask your question in front of the group, we want to hear from all of you. And so feel free to write something down and leave it in the back, and we will get back to you. Pat.
Question on the live streaming. Are you able to track what your viewership is, and are you getting more electronic donations because of that? Is that covering costs, or how does that work?
You want to handle that?
Okay. So if you, I'm going to repeat the question. The question was a 2-parter. It was, can we track how many people are watching our live stream? And yes, we can track. We can actually track in real time when people are watching. Some of the analytics that we get can be someone's watching on their cell phone. We actually have people watching on their PlayStations at home, which is awesome. And then also afterwards, we can take that data and we can see which ones were more successful as as far as people watching. It also tells us too what their internet speed is. So if somebody says, "Oh man, I was watching live stream, but it was like really fuzzy and it was buffering a lot," we can actually take a look and see how many people were streaming at a lower internet speed. And there are things on our end that can help improve that. The second part of the question was how many donations we're receiving. Is that what you said? Is it paying for itself? So at this moment in time, it is not paying for itself. There are two things in particular, and I won't get into the nitty-gritty because it's a lot of big words and new stuff. But basically, we need to have at least 1,000 subscribers before we can really start seeing a return on that investment. And right now, we're at about 150, and we have just barely moved from it being in testing mode to it actually being able to be, it's no longer in testing. We can actually earn money off of our advertisements, et cetera. So as we have people subscribe, that will help boost those numbers. And it will hopefully eventually start paying for itself. It just takes time.
And that would be meaning people watching it and then donating in the service just as when you pass. But it's also important to know that James calls every newcomer to this community. And I know for me, I've watched the things online in YouTube well before I came here. And James, if you'd speak to how many folks do that. So in terms of translating how many people have seen us online, then came, and then are now part of this community, that's happening. And so, but I know you've been kind of tracking that.
Well, I don't have any exact numbers. I always ask a newcomer, how do they find out? Most people, they still say that someone brought them, but a larger and larger percentage are coming because they found out about us through social media. It could have been Facebook, it could have been our website, could have because they saw a video. One of the things he was asking about the monetization of the live streaming or of our programs. Generally, it takes a while to build the momentum for that. And then you have to also create a campaign to start driving more and more people to watch it. And that's a whole process in and of itself. So we just have gotten to the point where we've gotten out of the testing stage. Now we need to begin to move into the marketing stage, and that's stage 2.
Any other questions?
I'm not sure if it's a question. Can I speak?
Yeah.
Is this working? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, speak some more.
All right, I'm gonna-
Here, take that one.
I've probably been to the last 3 or 4 town hall meetings, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we can do something a little bit different. Usually it feels like there's really good presentations, and then it takes a lot to digest those presentations, and then usually there gets to be a point where everyone's saying, oh gosh, we're running late, look at the time, and the question and answers are always at the end. To me, they feel rushed. And I'm wondering if there's a way that there can be a town hall meeting that's an actual town hall meeting where the congregants share their dreams and visions about this community, whether it's a focus group like you mentioned. I know that there's a survey, but right now I'm still digesting a lot of things. I want to give my time, talent, and treasure to this community. I'm committed and passionate to being a friend of SLC, and I want to support a vision that is healthy for all of us, And so for me to look at the fact that we were $42,000 short this last year, and then adding $50,000 to next year's budget means that's an extra $95,000 in cash that's either going to show up, and if it doesn't show up and there's no money in the savings account or barely any money in the savings account, then that automatically defaults to a loan against the building. So, and I've heard that we're giving $800 per person on average, more than the national average. I know that in the last 7 years that I've been here at SLC, we are committed givers. And I know that we all have dreams and visions of making this a healthy and vibrant organization. And I'm also trying to figure out where my place is in giving. And I know I like what you said about the 5 different types of givers. I know I fit 2 of those categories really well. So I just think that there needs to be more community input. And now that we're running over time, I mean, it's either going to open up now and explode for the next hour because people have things they want to say, or there's got to be a place where we can have a focus group. So that's all I got.
Can I say just out of my head, okay, I don't speak for the whole board, but I am a board member, okay. We had been having a declining population, okay, here ever since, you know, when James, you know, came because we had this big loss of Michael. And every time I've been here the last couple of months for the later service, we've had to put chairs in the back. So I think we've hit this thing, okay? We can't ask the people as the numbers kept declining to give more, give more. We need more butts in the seats, okay? And I think, and the people online, but then that's bringing people in. And just for me, I'm seeing that happen the last several months because every time I'm here to the second service, these chairs are full and we're having to add chairs back there. So that's the key, is to go this way in terms of, that's how you get the plate money up, okay? So I'm hoping that we've hit that point. So, and if we haven't, here's my other thought that I have, because I get these things in the middle of the night. See, I'm a board member, and I have to take all this in that we've talked about, and then I have to go home and sleep on it, and then, you know, ruminate on it, and, you know, I can't figure it out, and then finally in the middle of the night it hits me. Okay, if we kept doing what we were doing the last 5 years, and we kept going down in numbers, and we kept cutting and thinking we have to spend less, we're going to die, okay? We've done some things. The board started this, and we're now on this thing of we're going to do a bunch of different things and have a bunch of better programs and new things and exciting things happening. And if we have a time period between this dip of putting more butts in the seats and the money coming in that lag, that we have to get some more money, I personally am willing to do that. But even if I'm wrong and we haven't turned that corner and we die anyway, let's go down in a blaze of glory rather than wilt away. Okay, that's just, you know, let's do it joyfully and dancing. Let's do it dancing and having a wonderful time and feeding us here. Okay, so.
All right. So, hold on, Evan, 1 second. I just want to address what RJ said, because I heard you about, I mean, we've been digesting all of this stuff for months, and it's all fresh to all of your ears. And so I was just whispering in James's ear, we're going to chat about maybe having another, just a short, maybe an hour after a service in the next couple weeks, sooner rather than later, and just open it up. You know, so you can all digest what you've heard. We've been recording. We recorded the presentation part. I think we've recorded the whole thing, but the presentation part in particular, we wanted to make sure that was available, because not everybody comes to the town hall meetings, and so we want to have that available on our website. So if people can listen to that, get the info, and then we can have another meeting where people can just speak their mind after they've had a chance to sit with it. So we'll talk about that, so be looking for that, because I heard you, and I totally get it. It's a tricky business, because everybody has stuff to do, and we have a lot to tell you, but also we absolutely want to hear what everybody has to say. So finding that balance is tough. So thanks for saying what you did, and we'll see what we can do to, you know, this will piggyback on the focus groups and everything that we want to have, because it's everybody's community. So, all right, Avenel?
Well, let's not start a lot of answers and questions now.
Okay, well, she was the last. Okay, well.
It's not, doesn't seem to be working.
Here with that mic.
So, as always, I love what you said, and I agree with you totally. I had a chance, as we know, there are no accidents. What seemed like an accident for me to be here to hear both services. I am all about energy And so I had a chance to experience the 9 o'clock energy. You were the same person. The prayer was wonderful. So Anne was wonderful. So it isn't that. The energy in the 9 o'clock service for me was totally different than the 11 o'clock. Oh my God. I will never come to a 9 o'clock service again because I want to be in that heaven energy all the time. Well, that's where I am. I can only speak for me. Well, that's because of the sermon and the energy.
Okay. Thank you. All right. For the sake of time, unless there's like a really burning question, I'd like to kind of bring us to close, and especially if we're going to have another meeting. But Martha has something.
Just real quick. I'm so with what you're saying as well. When I saw that we have a really structured agenda, I thought, well, if we say we're here to get input, where's that opening? But there's also the desire to be transparent and to also bring you into the knowing, the knowledge that we as board members are looking at. So it is tough to find those moments. So I would invite you all the more to be a part of the Sunday service is coming up, the March 4th, for example, where we are honoring our beginnings and having an activity after that. That's a place for sharing and asking your questions. The Gary Simmons, when he comes in the next week, and the following April, those are times to contribute what it is you're really thinking about and where you want to see SLC go forward. That is all about, we call it the construction of our community cue card, but what it really is, it's the down and dirty dialogue. Because you have to have that, and we really do invite all of you in. But, maybe we need to do something, listening circles more often. And I'd commit to that. So put it on the survey, and when you respond to the survey, put how we can engage you in the conversation. Let us know how to better do that.
I just want to say something. Just take a moment. I keep hearing us talk about the mission and outreach, and I'm all about diversity and outreach. What are the plans for doing outreach in the community that's part A. And part B, how do we get everyone, all the congregants, to know what our mission is for the world and the community at large? To me, it's very general, and I'd like to have some specific. This is what we're doing in the community, or this is our idea for the world, or this is how we're going to go about it. I want us to see our face at different events. I think that's going to bring in a lot of people.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So when we do the focus groups, I'm going to be calling you. Because that is part of it. We've struggled with this ourselves. If we're a mission-centered ministry, what is our mission? We say some words every Sunday, but what do we feel in our hearts? And I heard what you said about it's also beyond this room, this building. It's where are we in the community and in the world. And Penny's been one of our best board members as far as keeping us in that global consciousness, as well as James. So. I think really clearly identifying that and what that looks like, and that's what we really want to do in the coming months. So
this is the year.
Yeah, set our intentions. All right, well, I'm going to turn it back to James to close us out. Pray us out.
Pray us out, yes.
Yeah.
If you want to
Thank
stand
you,
up,
everybody.
I don't know about you, I need to stand
Yeah.
for a minute. You can stand and take in these words. It'll be very brief because I know we're ready to move forward, but we're standing in the field of loving energy. And each and every individual here is behind the purpose of why we exist. And no matter how we use the words, it's always about something within us being different, something being transformed, something about us connecting with that presence that lifts us up to the truth of who and what we are as children of God. It's reaffirming the truth that we've come here to be those special expressions and ambassadors of the Spirit. We're grateful for all those that are here, all those on their way. We are grateful that we have a purpose that we're contributing to making a difference in this community and the world. Each person here is blessed and a blessing, and we go forth realizing that. And if we all realize that for each other, we change the world in the twinkling of an eye. Thank you, God. Amen. Thank you all. Okay. Yes, yes.
So today you mentioned again the class to learn the unity principles. Do you know what? I don't even know I could say it. And I thought, why aren't they something that would slip into our bulletin every week? I could put it on my refrigerator. Newcomers don't have to wonder what the heck they are. The Catholic Church does their creed. It's memorized. I need to come to class, but I shouldn't have to come to class. Yeah. So I did that when I was a member, but I don't remember.
We will do that.
There's two things. On the website, I looked it up. I don't know the thing.
There's 5 basic unity principles. One
You know
principle.
them.
Yes.
And I want them I want to see it.
We will get it. That's easy to do.
I thought it would be an easy thing.
Okay. Another down home meeting. Rick.
Were you by chance invited to Habitat for Humanity dinner on Wednesday?
I don't recall receiving an invitation.
And I got a card inside that said you or your organization will be receiving the card.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything. I have not. Okay.
SLC from Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
So I want you to grab one of the applications back there.